Hey, good evening, all of you out there watching us on Facebook and also on YouTube. It's just after the show. If you didn't see our 10 o'clock newscast here in Alaska, I want to make sure I give you the latest on the weather. Very interesting weather that we've had over the last few days, actually the last few weeks, and it's been something of short of remarkable. As warm as it's been, a place where you normally would see snow, say in Anchorage, we're seeing green grass and some very strong winds tonight and expected through tomorrow with temperatures in the 40s. So let's get started. Welcome. I'm Meteorologist Robert Forgit from Alaska's News Source here in Anchorage, Alaska. We broadcast all over the state, and we certainly try to do our best to talk to every resident when we can and try to provide the best forecasting that we can throughout a state that's 2.5 times the size of Texas and stretches coast to coast in the lower 48 and north to south as well. Big, big state, and that's what we like about it. Let's go ahead and begin and give you a shot at what we're seeing. Here's some max wind gusts just in Anchorage, and I wasn't kidding when I said, hey, Rosalind, nice to have you. Oh, from St. Paul Island, way out there. Nice to have you. We're seeing some wind gusts in the 70s in the upper hillside. That's going to continue overnight as we have this stream of moisture. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about when it's going to end. Charlotte, thanks for joining me in Muldoon. And we have 66 mile an hour winds up in Rabbit Creek. We've seen 57 mile an hour winds, especially up in the mountains, a little bit in the east part of town and out at the airport. It's been pretty significant too. Right now, the camera is actually moving, and let me show this to you. This is from Midtown Anchorage. The wind's moving, and if you look at the winds, this is at the airport. The winds are southeast 30 miles an hour. Look at the temperature. 40 degrees. We're at 11 o'clock seeing 40 degrees. Janet, nice to have you with us. So we're seeing 40 degrees at the airport. We're expecting tonight to get down to about 38 in Anchorage, and then tomorrow only in the upper 40s with these winds continue. We're seeing wind gusts 41 miles per hour out at the airport. We saw 50 today on the hillside again. We've seen 70 plus, and that will continue. Sarah, thanks for joining us from Wasilla. It's going to be windy up there too. I'm going to explain all this to you in a minute, but first let's look at just some of the forecasts for some of the major metropolitan areas of Alaska. Anchorage again, heavy early AM rain and wind. Really going to see it as this low pressure system is squeezed. Hey buddy, thanks for joining us from Midtown. We're going to see Fairbanks, mixed rain and snow, temperatures in the upper 30s, way above the normal for this time of year. And it's very icy for us in Fairbanks. The roads are just nothing but glare ice as a lot of that snow has melted and tried to refreeze overnight. Partly sunny skies expected in Juneau. Juneau's been gorgeous. So Charlotte, nice to have you. And oh, Ivy from Fairbanks. Yeah, been really tough. It looks like the power's out, a giant mess in Talkeetna. Thanks, Travis. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, lots of wet snow, and that's what we're seeing. If we do get snow with these temperatures, especially in the valleys, what we're getting is this mixture of rain and snow really making driving and walking, basically mobility, very strong, very hard to do. Bethel, blizzard warning, looking at about 9 to 17 inches of additional snow. So yeah, when you get that type of mixture of rain and snow, that's not good on the trees. They have a tendency to break and snap everywhere. And then of course the roads are not passable. Thanks, Travis. Cheryl's, Kiana, nice to have you from beautiful town. Let's go ahead and see what else we've got weather-wise. I want to show you this. Notice this moisture moving just from the south up. And all of this colored part are watches and warnings. We've got Turvik that has a blizzard warning, as well as the coast near Bethel. We talked about the blizzard warning. That's going to continue through tomorrow. And then we've got a lot of watches and warnings throughout the state. Winter warnings, winter weather warnings, winter weather watches. We've got flood advisories throughout much of South Central, Girdwood, Ellie. Very wet conditions down there, especially tomorrow, expecting some windy conditions. I'll show you that in a minute. And Eagle River, crazy gusty winds. Yep, I live here in Anchorage on the hillside, and it is blowing like no tomorrow. By the way, we found a dog in our yard. Name tag's Toto. If you know where the owner, let us know. That's how windy it's been. Show you some of the major storm impacts, all joking aside. Hillside in Anchorage, we're looking at gusts to 70. Brooks Range, the eastern Aleutians, gusts to 65. Anchorage, the Matsu, the interior with the mountains, and also in Bethel, looking at gusts to 50. For the snow, Kuskokwim Delta, 6 to 26 inches inland. We're going to see the southern part of Denali, also eastern Alaska Range, 10 to 20 inches. Lower Kuskokwim Valley, also eastern Aleutians in the interior, 8 to 15 inches at Central Brooks Range. We're looking at 2 to 7 inches. It was hard to say all this in 4 minutes of the forecast that I get at 10 o'clock, so good that I can slow down a little bit. For rain, Anchorage, the western Kenai, the Matsu, about 1 to 3 inches. Seward and Valdez, 3 to 6 inches. And then we're getting snow in the higher elevations, feet of snow, as we're going to see cold conditions above about 1,000 feet. So, hey Meg, thanks for your comments. And as we go ahead and look, what we're going to see a little bit more, and I want to move this major storm impact out, we have avalanche warnings throughout the south central area, the Chugach State Park, and also up through Turnagain Pass all the way down to Seward. I want to mention, if you don't have to, don't go out in the backcountry without knowing how this weather has changed. And I'm talking everywhere from Fairbanks all the way down south, because we have seen a snow melt, we've seen rain, we've seen a mixture of both. You got to be careful, and that's important. Big Cat, nice to have you from Arizona-Utah border. What are we looking at as far as sunrises and sunset? Hey, 5 minutes and 2 seconds gain for tomorrow for Anchorage. Fairbanks, 6:33. Juneau, 4 minutes and 15 seconds and 4 minutes 55 seconds for Bethel. We are starting to get to right around that 8-hour mark. Juneau's going to hit it first, and then probably Bethel, and then Anchorage right behind that as we look at. I'm going to answer that question, Jose. When is snow coming to Anchorage? I'll give it to you. Abra, hey, Rubicon, nice to have you on board. And also we're going to, Speakman, thanks, Ice here. Speakman, if Trevor, if you could tell me where you're from, that'd be great. I don't see where you're from. It's always nice to know the forecast. So, yep, Rosalind, you need to be careful out there. Hey, I want to do a factoid. If you didn't see the show, I want to do it now as we'll go back to the forecast, but I thought I'd throw this out. On today's date, which one of these events did not happen on this day in history? So on this date, January 25th, was it the first Winter Olympics, the first Emmy Awards ceremony, the first live presidential press conference with JFK, John F. Kennedy, or was it the first Happy Days episode aired? Which one did not happen on this day? So, hey, thanks, Speakman, appreciate it, Soldotna. Go ahead and take a guess. Looking for people to guess. Hey, Lynn, thanks for joining us from Big Lake. Go ahead and take a guess. One of these events did not happen on this day in history, January 25th. Which one did not happen? The 1924 Winter Olympics, first one. The 1949 first Emmy Awards. What do you think? The 1961 first presidential press conference? Arnold's going with C. Or D, 1974, was it the first Happy Days episode that aired? One of these is not true. So even though, Dozer, I'm going to read this while Wasilla, we now have lake forming front yard. Yeah, I'm going to explain that to you. Straight downpour of rain outside Palmer. Yep, towards Sutton. Yep, Kayla. Anna's going with D. Speakman plus lots of rain. Yep. Princess is going with B. Thanks for joining us. I will explain why we're going to have the flooding, and we're already starting to see it. And the major reason for that is we've got a downpour of rain. We've got gutters that could be frozen, or because of the rain, a lot of the, I'll call it the fall debris, the leaves and sticks that have gone into the drain and have plugged it up. On top of that, hey, thanks Cheryl. She's going with C, 1961. Take a guess if you want. The winds are so bad, lower hillside. Yes, they are. We're seeing gusts to about 40, 50 miles an hour, 63 miles an hour, 35 in the east side of town. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at, Joe. Hey, nice to have you from Cooper Landing. Cool. Hey, so what we have is a frozen ground. Water has nowhere to go. Plus we're getting melting on top of that. So we're getting rain and melting. What do you get? A real mess. And this water has nowhere to go a lot of times, and it runs into the tributaries, so you start to see what's happening. So yeah, Jennifer, you're welcome. I did this last week where I did one after the show, and I was surprised at the amount of viewers. So nice to have all you here. Hey, we're going to go ahead and give you the answer to this. Last chance. One of these events did not happen on this date in history, January 25th. Which one is it? Do you know? Is it A, B, C, or D? Which one do you think it didn't happen on? That's what I'm asking you. So if you can guess, that'd be great. I'm going to give you the answer here in just a minute. Then we're going to get on with the forecast. I'll explain a lot of the things you're asking for. All right, here we go. And going to go ahead. Portland, lots of rain. Yeah, I was there daily. Yep. Tammy, Anchorage. But visiting Maui, good for you. I know you don't want to come home, but boy, it's like spring like here. A, Melissa says, and the answer, here it comes. I got C from Emily. Yep, I saw last 2 weeks too. Ariska, thank you. You said D, got a C from Rusty. Christy, a D. D from Christy again. Let's see what else. And we're going to go ahead and give the answer. The answer is this event did not happen. It was Happy Days. The first episode actually aired on the 15th of January, 1974. Ran 11 seasons. You gotta love the Fonzie and Richie and the whole gang. Boy, that was a good show. Hey, let's go ahead and talk about it. It's pouring in. Seward, aware of that, 37 degrees. And boy, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and continue with our forecast. I want to go ahead and just say a couple things, and that is, thanks for being here tonight. I thought people would be interested because this is very unseasonable. I've been here over 30 years. I don't remember a time that we've had this extension of what I call an event for this long a period to get green grass again with very little snow, and now we're getting flooding. This is something we see a lot of times in the spring. So let's go ahead and continue on with our forecast. This is the reason, folks, I want to tell you, we are seeing this. Arnold, thanks for joining us. Austin, yeah, this winter has been wild. What has summer got in store for us? Hold on to that thought. I pulled this back. Notice the train of moisture. Sometimes I'll call this a tropical a river, an atmospheric river. It's all being drawn in by the jet. We have a subtropical jet, the higher elevations. It kind of becomes the highway. Rusty, thanks from Palmer. Good to have you here. The low pressure system's just over the Aleutian chain around Coal Bay. And notice all the moisture being pushed in. As I zoom in, the moisture right now over Kodiak and then kind of pushing in to the south central area and all the way into Fairbanks. And Fairbanks, wow, it is just slick there, the roads are. And the low is going to continue to compress. Why? Because just as we zoom in, you could see that moisture moving up like a sponge. It's being squeezed because we have high pressure and low pressure. I'll explain that in a minute. So let me go ahead and talk to you about this. These are the high wind warnings, flood advisories, winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings. We talked a lot about these. A lot of these will expire tomorrow. The ones out a little bit farther west will expire on Monday. As I back up, a lot of moisture moving through Cook Inlet and also into the Gulf of Alaska. Here are the wind gusts. This is going to explain a lot. These are wind gusts, 48 in King Salmon, 36 miles per hour in Kodiak, 52 in Anchorage. This is over the last 12 hours, 39 in Coal Bay. Notice where they're located, and the tightest one is called the pressure. These are pressure gradients, so to speak. They're not, these are winds. So what we're seeing is it's really wrapped around that low pressure. And what's going to happen, and I want to explain this to you. Dottie, thank you for letting me know. All water. I know it's terrible in Talkeetna when we have this meltdown. So Kotzebue, you will get the forecast for Kotzebue. Hold on, Brown. We're going to get to the forecast. I'm trying to explain why. This low pressure system here is exerting force. You can see those arrows that are exerting force towards that high pressure. But the high pressure is holding it in place. But as tomorrow appears, it all moves right on top of South Central, right into Prince William Sound, into the eastern or the western part of the western Prince William Sound, and also the eastern Kenai, and up into much of the interior sections. And that flow is all warm, moist air being compressed like a sponge. As that low and the high try to combat it, they press all that moisture, and the moisture falls in the form of warm moisture because there's no cold weather. Now, one thing you should know here, as that low moves up, because there was counterclockwise rotation, what we're going to see is, imagine this is the counterclockwise rotation that's moving up. It all spins this way, so we're starting to get the cooler air. So you in Kotzebue, Nome, as the temperatures tonight drop, they're actually going to be the highest temperatures you're going to see for the day tomorrow, because as that low pressure system grabs that colder air, temperatures will drop tomorrow about 10 degrees to 15 degrees on the west coast. So your highs are probably going to be 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Your lows are going to be at 3 in the afternoon. So just be aware of that because that low pressure system is going to move through, and as it does, we're going to continue to see some cold air be pushed down into the region. As we go ahead, when is it going to get cold? I'm going to say just in a minute. We are looking at the cold air on the west coast, Kotzebue, also through much of the mainland part of Alaska, the interior. As we get into Tuesday, that cold air goes back in place, even down in south central. So here's the forecast. We'll start with southeast. You're still remaining rather tranquil with mostly cloudy skies. Not very much in the way of wind. 40s all the way from Juneau down to Ketchikan. Rain in Yakutat, we're looking at 43 degrees. As we go into the interior, those winter storm warnings will start to drop off. The winter weather advisories will drop off tomorrow at noon. Winter storm warnings for Fairbanks should drop off tomorrow. You have a mixture of rain and snow, temperature 37. Notice the arrow like for Healy where it says 37. Well, 37 will be the high, and it'll be in the morning, and it'll drop through the day. You'll be in the 20s by the night because your winds are going to start to shift. Any place there's northeast winds, you're going to start to see a shift in colder temperatures. So let's go ahead and see what we've got on the slope. Mostly cloudy skies, cold temperatures. Temperatures really dropping in Wainwright, probably be down in the minus teens in the afternoon. So that's what we're looking at. As we go ahead and is it going to form a big tornado? No, Anthony. Tornado is a whole different dynamic than this. This is just a low pressure system. Ariska in Fairbanks yesterday had a lot of bad accents. Yeah, it is just icy there, so be careful. As I'll get to Anchorage in a minute. As we go ahead, dropping temperatures, as I mentioned, as notice the winds coming out of the north. When it becomes northerly, that's when those temperatures will drop and be colder than they are going to be in the morning hours. Aleutians, very northerly winds develop tomorrow, and that's because the low pressure system is going to be pulling that cold air in, and those temperatures will start to drop too, and we'll get back to somewhat of a normal thing. Nan Wallach, been rain, and winds. Yes, I know. For the Kenai, we're looking at flood watches and advisories tomorrow. A lot of rain still projected for the early morning hours of tonight, another Sunday morning, and then we're going to see a little bit of tapering going on, but still the winds being a factor. Copper River Basin, flood watches and advisories, they should start to end maybe tomorrow afternoon, but could go into Monday as a result of how long this flooding from this atmospheric river stays on top of us. So winter weather flood advisories for the valley. It is just wet, and we've already saw Sutton saying it's wet in Willow, wet in Talkeetna, Wasilla. Very unprecedented weather that we're seeing throughout Alaska. Talkeetna lost power, it looks like, 3 hours ago. Thanks, Dottie. Appreciate that. Hopefully they're going to be able to restore that power soon, and that's because of downed trees, I'm sure, because you've had a mixture of rain and snow, probably bringing down some of those pines. So, Lisa, thanks. Appreciate your thoughts there. We are seeing that things are melting rapidly here in the Anchorage Bowl, and so let's talk about Anchorage. High wind warning till noon tomorrow. We're going to see gusts tonight. Some of the bigger gusts will happen after midnight, just a few hours here, just after midnight, and then Girdwood looking at about 39 degrees. I want to show you the trend. We'll look at the Fairbanks forecast. By Tuesday, kind of get back to normal by Wednesday. Things will drop off as that winds will shift out of the north, but for tomorrow, 37, snow and rain. For Anchorage, we are looking at 42 tomorrow, but then as we get into Monday and Tuesday, temperatures will start to drop off as we'll get those colder air, and those temperatures will reflect that with that northerly flow. So that's what we're looking at. Yep, Michael, it is windy everywhere in Seldovia. We've got winds all over the map, and it's always windy in St. Paul. I know you are at the brunt of it out there in the Bering for sure. So we are looking at, again, avalanche warnings, and want to make sure those avalanche warnings are here in the Chugach Mountains, also all the way extending all the way to Seward. Please don't do any backcountry. And I speak for everyone in the state. Any place you've had a significant change where it's now very warm, you know, what was ice isn't ice anymore. It may look like it, but it's not as thick. So please, if you're snow machining, be careful where you're going. Watch those, especially the tributaries and the ponds and the crossing of rivers. It may not be stable enough anymore. We don't want to lose any lives just to go play in what is marginal weather right now. So also, if you are a snow machiner and going up the Parks Highway and snow machining off the parks, Alaska State Troopers have asked today, this afternoon, please do not park your cars and your trailers along the highway. It's a safety concern, and they did say they will tow if there's a lot of them there. So please get off the highway, just off the highway. They need that for safety purposes. So do not park your cars on the parks highways or your trucks with your snow machine trailers. It's a hazard in these conditions. We've got a lot of slippery conditions on the roads. Hey, I hope you're safe. I think I've answered all the questions here. Yeah, in Juneau, Cynthia, you got the best weather right now. The Southeast Panhandle. I haven't talked much about the Southeast Panhandle today because you have some great weather where there's so many places that we've got to, you know, say why things are not so good. It's a big state to cover in a very short amount of time in a half-hour broadcast. So I hope I took a little extra time and explained what was going on tonight. Hope you enjoyed it, and really hope that you're careful. So you can hydroplane, as was mentioned. Jennifer just mentioned that. Roads are slick. Watch the puddles. There could be big potholes there. Do not cross any place that's flooding, especially if a river's flooding over a road. Doesn't take much to move the car. We want everyone to be safe. So watch the backcountry, avalanche danger. Watch roads for slickness. A lot of places, my friends in Fairbanks, it is slick on those roads. Wow, I could not believe how slick it is. But again, this water has nowhere to go because the grounds are frozen. So we'll get through this in the next 48 hours and hopefully get back to normal, if there is such a thing anymore, and get back to a kind of season that we can get some white stuff back on the ground as we get closer to Iditarod and all these events that are now starting to get canceled. Iditarod has not been canceled. I'm just saying that some of the local events throughout the state are being canceled as we start to hit them. So hopefully we'll get some snow back on the ground here in the next 3 or 4 days. But until then, I want you to be careful. Be kind to yourself. Be careful. Wear your spikes on your shoes. This is the time that chiropractors and doctors get a lot of business because people fall and break things. And boy, it is just no fun to come out of this a winter with a broken bone or a busted shoulder or get in an accident. So if you don't have to travel, don't. And with that, be kind to yourself. Please find kindness with others and do kind things for people. Pay it forward. All right. This is Meteorologist Robert Forgit. I hope I helped you tonight. I know it's late. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll be on the 5 and 10 o'clock news tomorrow. So enjoy tomorrow. If you're a big football fan and got a team in the race, good luck tomorrow on your games. From Anchorage, Alaska, it's Robert Forgit saying good night. Be kind to yourself. I'm still back on the air.